गणानां त्वा गणपतिं हवामहे कविं कवीनामुपमश्रवस्तमं ज्येष्ठराजं ब्रह्मणां ब्रह्मणस्पतान् शृण्वन्नोतिभिः सीदसादनं श्रीमहागणाधिपतये नमः। गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णुः गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुः साक्षात् परं ब्रह्म तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। ॐ भद्रं कर्णेभिः शृणुयाम देवाः भद्रं पश्येमाक्षभिर्यजत्राः स्थिरैरङ्गैस्तुष्टुवागुंसस्तनूभिः व्यशेम देवहितं यदायुः। स्वस्ति न इन्द्रो वृद्धश्रवाः स्वस्ति नः पूषा विश्ववेदाः स्वस्ति नस्तार्क्ष्यो अरिष्टनेमिः स्वस्ति नो बृहस्पतिर्दधातु। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। Dear friends, in the last class we completed the study of the Prashnopanishad. The last mantra of the last Prashna we completed in the last class, and we will now review. We will now just have a sort of summary or recapitulation of what all we saw in this particular text. So in the very beginning we saw that this Prashnopanishad is somewhat like a follow-up on the Mundakopanishad. Mundakopanishad is in the mantra portion of the Veda, and this Prashnopanishad is in the Brahmana portion of the Veda. And we know that the Brahmana portion of the Vedas is a sort of elaboration on the mantra portion. So that way, that originally Mundakopanishad was called Mantropanishad, and this Upanishad is called Brahmanopanishad. And so that is the reason why we find lot many ideas of that Mundakopanishad, lot many words, para, apara, various other words which are there in that, they are repeated, they get repeated in this particular Upanishad. So this is what we have seen. Then there Mundakopanishad has classified this knowledge into two levels, that is para, that is higher level, and apara, that is the lower level. So this text also broadly follows the same distinction. So para is what relates to the supreme reality. Apara is all else. Apart from the supreme reality, all else. What all we can cognize by our senses, what all we can understand by our mind, is all in the realm of apara vidya. And the very mind, analysis of the mind itself, and then looking into the mind, and what is there behind the mind, and what actually is enabling the mind to function. So that analysis, which goes back to the root of the mind, so that is what is Paravidya. So from there you see what is that supreme reality. We talk about that supreme reality called Brahman, etc. All that thing is Paravidya. And all other physical sciences, physics, chemistry, mathematics, and all the physical sciences, whatever you see, Rigveda, Yajurveda, all these Vedas, all they talk about various worlds. For example, Swarga, there is what is called a heaven, there is what is called hell, etc., etc. These are all in the realm of religion. And all these things, they are all things sadhya sadhana lakshanam. That is, you do some karma, you attain it. You do something else, you attain it. Either a good or bad result, you attain the result. So all these things, they fall under the realm of avidya, or rather ignorance it is called. And then ignorance does not mean total lack of knowledge. It is knowledge of a different type, that is avidya, not the right type. The right type is what exactly is the ultimate thing, what exactly is the ultimate thing which is behind our mind. So that is what is the ultimate thing. So this Prashnopanishad also adopts the same pattern. And in fact, in the very beginning of the fourth mantra, Shankaracharya comments also. Aparavidya, all that aparavidya gocharam prashnatrayena aparavidya gocharam sarvam parisamapya, he says. Prashnatrayena aparavidya gocharam sarvam parisamapya samsaram vyakruta vishayam. Vyakruta vishayam means that all that which is manifest. All that which is manifest is in the realm of avidya. It is in the realm of apara, that is the lower knowledge. So that is how this text also commences. Then we have seen that in the very beginning there are 6 students, The 6 students, they go to the teacher, Pippalada, and then they want to know about Brahman. And then Pippalada knows that these people are already Brahmanishtaha, that the text says, Samvatsaram, what is this? They say, Brahmanishtaha. Let me see, Brahmanishtaha. Yeah, Brahmanishtaha, Param Brahmanveshamanaha. So that is what the text says. That means they are already people who are grounded in all this Vedic discipline. But still, Pippalada asked them to observe this Brahmacharyam for 1 more year, for his own satisfaction. Not only for his own satisfaction, we do not know what is the reason. But anyway, you should be in that receptive mode. The problem is, if our mind is engaged in so many things, so many worldly things, it will be very difficult to be in this in a receptive mood when Vedanta is taught. So when somebody goes to some satsanga or something like that, he should leave, he should forget all the things relating to his family, all the personal problems and all those things, and then sit there with a totally open mind or a rather blank mind, so that the teacher can fill in the blank. So that is what is expected of a student of Vedanta. And then these people, they are already disciplined. So 1 more year of Brahmacharya, it makes their mind very, very mature and very, very receptive for receipt of any information in the right spirit. Because if you go with so much of preconceived notions and with so much of garrulous, quarrelsome nature, you will start fighting with the teacher, like we see all these internet discussions on Vedanta. So people like to know about Brahman and Maya in 5 minutes. So they want to know through an email. So that is the basic problem. So they have to have some patience. They have to listen to one whole text from somebody, from some teacher, and then then they have to they should try to understand. So that is the point, that is the picture. So that is why he says observe Brahmacharya for 1 more year. So okay, fine, they observed Brahmacharya for 1 more year and then they came back. So the first question is about the origin of all the beings. So he says, Bhagavan kuto hava imah prajayanta. So that was the first question. What is the origin of all these beings? So that is what the question. Then the teacher Pippalada, he gives them a broad picture of what is seen. He is not talking directly about the Brahman. He is talking about what is seen, what is this manifest world. And for this manifest world, tentatively, which has been accepted in Vedanta, Vedanta does not dismiss this world totally. It is not absolutely dismissed. It is some tentative reality is accepted for this world. So at that level he says, okay, Prajapati is there. This Prajapati is the gentleman. Tasmai sahovacha prajakamo vai prajapatihi satapotapyata, etc., etc. So he talks about one Prajapati. Who is that Prajapati? That Hiranyagarbha level. So that secondary creation, what all goes on from the Hiranyagarbha downwards, so that is being described. And then he says, and of course he doesn't describe all these Shodashakalas, etc. All those Shodashakalas again from that thing only it comes. But still, now in this first question, he is identifying 2 broad principles which are being seen in the universe. These 2 broad principles are, one is the eater and the other is eaten. The one is the enjoyer or perceiver, the other is the enjoyed or perceived. One is the knower and the other is known. So this relationship exists in the universe in all things. We see about Taittiriya Upanishad also. Aham annam, hamannam, hamannam, aham annado, hamannado, hamannadaha. I am the eater, I am the eaten, etc., etc. So like that, this division of Rayi and Pranam, these 2 words are mentioned here in this by Prajapati in this mantra, that is 1-4, that is Rayincha Pranancha Yetau me bahudha praja karishyata iti. So these 2 will do further creation. That is Annam and the eater. That is energy and matter. In other words, Prana. Prana is nothing but energy. Prana and Rayi. Pranam and Rayi is energy and matter. This is what is consuming the other one. And these 2 things are going to continue forever and forever. It is not as though, Prajapati created, some energy and created some, food. So by the time that food is consumed, that everything is over, then this prana dies. It is not like that. So there is a continuous evolution. So that is what he says. What is that? Yetau me bahudha prajah karishyata iti. So these things will continue to do that. So this sort of continuous evolution of all these things, beings, from these two basic principles. So these two basic, identification of these two basic principles is what we see in, say, the first prashna. And then the first question also describes certain other things like upasana on Aditya. The same Prajapati is manifest in the form of Vaishwanara or Aditya. Vaishwanara, why is he called Vaishwanara? That is the energy which is there in all the beings. Vishwatma, he says, he is the self of all. Vishwatma, we also find this Vaishwanara in Gita, Aham Vaishwanaro Bhutva. So like that, this Vishwatma, that is the energy which is the Agni in all the beings. So in that way, you do upasana of that, say, Prajapati. Then another way, there are some other, say, upasanas. Upasana, we have discussed what is upasana. Upasana is Taila Dharavat Tulya Pratyaya Santatihi, etc., etc. Upasana also is a Shastriya Adhyasa. Upasana, you take a pratika and then you make a Shastriya Adhyasa. That is a deliberate superimposition of an idea on something else. So this is that reality, this is that Brahman. So in that way you meditate on that. This is what is supreme. Or it may be in a mode of duality. It may be in a mode of ahangraha upasana. So all these things we have discussed. The upasana in a mode of duality, upasana in the mode of ahangraha upasana, etc. we have discussed. So here there is another thing which is said, samvatsaro vai prajapatihi, that is samvatsara, a duration of 1 year. Has to be, or it can be meditated upon as Prajapati. Why? There are two ayanams in this. There is what is called Dakshinayanam and Uttarayanam. And these two are compared to this Dakshina Marga and Uttara Marga. In Gita we have seen about Shuklagati and Krishnagati. Krishnagati is otherwise called Dhuma Marga. That is, people who perform yajnas, etc. and then sit in that dhumam, face that dhumam for a long time, who their faces blackened, etc. And then all the punyam which these people accumulate, with the help of this punyam, they go to some heaven that is called Chandraloka. So that the people who go to that Chandraloka, this is what is called Dhuma Marga. Why? Because all through he has performed yajna, his face also has become dark, etc. So this is again a literal, so a slightly metaphorical way of saying. Then the other marg is Shuklagati. That is those who combine, say what is this, karma with upasana. Karma and upasana. Karma, upasana, samuchaya, which we have seen in Ishavasya, that is also mentioned here. Karma, upasana, samuchaya. With that, they go to the higher level, which is called, say, Hiranyagarbha Loka, otherwise called Prajapati Loka. So that is what we see. And this mention of, say, Dakshinayana and Uttarayana. Dakshinayana is by virtue of this Ishtapurtam, and Uttarayana by virtue of meditations and all that. So the Krama Mukti also is mentioned in this first prashna. So similarly, the Masa means a month. Month also can be contemplated as Prajapati. Maso vai Prajapatihi, tasya Krishna Paksha eva Raihi. Krishna Paksha is Rai, and Shukla Paksha is Prana. And then Ahoratro vai Prajapatihi, even the day and night, one particular day and night can be, you can meditate upon this as say this prana, Rai and Prana. So this Rai and Prana are these two basic principles which have been identified in this say first prashna. And then basically a vision of Prajapati in the whole manifest universe. The first question, he talks about say karma phala, karma and upasana, the phalam, and then the vision of Prajapati as a whole. And meditation on this Prajapati. What we see in, for example, Virat Purusha, Purusha Suktam, what we find in the Purusha Suktam, we should be seeing that whole universe as Prajapati. So that is what is the subject matter of this Prashnopanishad, of the first Prashna. Then we come to the second question, slightly say subtle. We go from gross, we go to slightly subtle thing called Prana. What is this Pranopasana? The second question is, about which are these luminous beings, or which are these presiding deities, or which are these important deities. For example, it is the word used here is Deva. Deva actually means anything which is luminous, anything connected with intelligence. Basic point is anything connected with intelligence. Katyeva devaha prajam vidharayante, katarayetat prakashayante. What are all these luminous things, or rather presiding deities, which are actually supporting the body? Prajam vidharayante. Vidharanam is supporting, sustaining. Katarayetan etat prakashayante. What is it that illumines this thing? There may be many things which are supporting the body, but what is it that is responsible for the so-called knowledge which we have? So that sort of question is there. And kah punaresham varishtaha, of all these things, which one is the greatest? So here there is what is called a discussion between prana indriya samvada. This prana indriya samvada is seen in some other Upanishads also. That is, all these indriyas thinking that I am great, and without me this whole body cannot survive. And then they say aham sreshtatayai vivadamanaha. So they are like that. And prana points out, no, I am just listen to me. I am responsible for your existence. So that is what it says. Akasho havayesha devo vayurgni na. One second. Vidharayama. Tan varishtah prana uvacha. Ma mohamapadhyata. Don't get deluded. Don't be under some wrong notion that you are the mightiest. Ahameva etat panchadha atmanam pravibhajya etat banam avastabhya vidharayami. That is, I am dividing myself in a five-fold manner. In a five-fold manner, that is prana, apana, vyana, udana, samana. In that five-fold manner, I am responsible. I am doing so many activities in this body. I am responsible for keeping this alive. And if I am not there, you will not be there. Te ashraddha dhanaha babhu. These people, they turned a blind eye, or rather they turned a deaf ear. Not blind eye, they turned a deaf ear to what this man said, this prana said. So we are visualizing prana samvada. We are just metaphorically we are visualizing. So these things, they paid a deaf ear to that, and then it looks as though the prana tried to get up from the body. Prana tried to leave the body. Then, as though they are just drawn, shaken from their roots, all other things, all other mind and all the organs, they were shaken in their bases. When all their bases were shaken, then they realized that, oh, we are not independent, we are surviving only because of this prana. Then they start praising this prana. So that is what we see in this second prashna. All these things they start praising, oh, you are this, you are that, so abhimanad urdhvam utkarmataiva, as though it was rising up. And then there is a small metaphor which is given here. Just as when the king bee, maybe in olden days probably they did not know that it was queen bee, Makshika Madhukara Rajanam Utkramantam. Madhukara Raja, that is king bee, when it rises, all other things they rise up. So similarly, all other things, all these indriyas, they were shaken and then they were about to rise. So then they start praising the body, praising this prana. Oh, you are the Parjanya, Yeshu Agnihi Tapati, Yesha Suryaha, Yesha Parjanya. You are responsible for all this. You are sustaining all these things in the body. And a word is used here in 8th mantra, Atharvangirasa. Rushinam Prathamaswadha, Devanamasi Vanhitamaha, Pitrunam Prathamaswadha, Rushinam Charitam Satyam, Atharvangirasamasi. Atharvangirasam. Atharva is those things which are the nourishing agents in the body. Atharva is those which are the nourishing agents within the body. Angirasa, and those which are the essence of the body. Angirasa, that is the essence of the body. So for all their functioning, you are their unfailing activity. Rushinam Charitam. Rushi does not mean sage or some saint here. Rushi is Jnanarthaka, Rusha. That is all the indriyas. For all the indriyas, The activity, Rushinam Charitam, the activity of all the Indriyas is because of you. So that is what it says. So the Vishwarupam of Prana is mentioned here. Prana is manifest in all the things in the universe. And then Prana is praised as Vratya, a sort of Nindastuti. Vratyasvam Prana Ekarshihi Atta Vishwasya Satpatihi. That is 11th mantra of second prashna. Vratyastvam. Vratya actually means Samskara Hino Vratyaha. Anandagiri writes, Samskara Hino Vratya iti smrutehe. That is, somebody who is devoid of any type of samskara, devoid of any type of initiation. So those people are vratyas, somebody who is a rugged fellow, who is absolutely beyond, who is not in this, who has not undergone these rites of passage, etc. And why are we saying, why are these Indriyas praising this as vratya? Because this is prathamaja, this is the firstborn. When this is the firstborn, when no other thing existed, where is the question of initiation? And who is there to initiate? So this is the boss of all these things. So this is the cause of all the things. So only after the prana came into existence, then all other things came into existence. So that is why it is a sort of nindastuti. So Vratyasvam Prana Ekarshihi Atta Vishwasya Satpatihi. You are the Atta, you are the eater, you are the into you all these things they resolve back. So all the whole universe resolves back into that. So that is why it is said to be Atta. And then Yate Tanur Vachi Pratisthita Ya Shrotreya Chakshushi. This is the 12th mantra which says, this is the prana is the life of all these indriyas. Yate Tanuhu. Your body which is present in Vachi. Vachi means in walk. And then your body which is present in Shrotra. Your body which is present in say Manas. What are these things? In walk, it is the Apanavayu, it is there. And in Shrotram, it is the Vyanavayu. And in Chakshu, it is the Pranavayu. So we saw all those details in, say, how these things, they are behind all the activity of, all the activities of all the Indriyas. So, Vratyastvam Prana. So, Prana is shown as the life of all the Indriyas. So, there ends the second question. Then the third question is a further question about prana. A third student is probing further about prana. So the teacher also is happy with that probing, because when a very intelligent question is put, the teacher is also happy if he is a competent teacher. So this gentleman is a very competent teacher, so he is very happy. So he says, Brahmishtosi, Ati Prashnan Pruchasi Brahmishtosi. The question posed by this boy, this seeker, is, what are the Bhagavan Kuta Yesha Prano Jayate? What is the origin of this prana? Where from it has come? Katham ayati asmin sharire? How, what is the connection? How does it enter this body? Atmanam va pravibhajya katham pratisthate? How does it settle down? How is it established in the body, in that fivefold division? And katham pratisthate? How does it live? So all that, the very functioning of all these fivefold activity of this prana is being mentioned here. So katham bhashyam abhidatte, katham adhyatmam. Katham bhashyam abhidatte means, bhashyam means adhibhutam, whatever is there in the universe. How is it sustaining all the things which are there in the universe, and katham adhyatmam, in the body. So how is it supporting all these things? So that is the question. So the teacher is very happy. Ati prashnan pruchasi. Okay, I didn't expect this question because we are all happy with knowing, okay, there is some Prajapati, that Prajapati has created these things, and then all the world is going on well. So that, and also you perform some yajna, you go to some loka, so you are very happy, you go to some Swarga, you go to Naraka, etc. So we are happy, the religion also is happy, we are contented with that. But when you want to know further about what exactly is this, then the teacher also is happy. So he wants to go beyond this thing. And then he says, Atmanaha yesha prano jayate, Atmana yesha prano jayate, yathaita purushe chhaya, etasminneta atatam. So then this is an important line. Yatha yesha purushe chhaya. That is, this prana has no real existence. Ultimately, the ontological status of this prana is that it is not absolutely real. It is tentatively real. It has got some tentative reality and not some absolute reality. That is, Yathaisha Purushe Chhaya. just as there is a chaya or a shadow of the body, which is totally dependent on the body and totally, behaving as though it is very intelligent and all that, but still it is Atmanah Chaya only. So that is what he says. That basically establishes that this prana and all the things which follow further, they are all not absolutely real. They have some tentative, tentatively they are accepted. So this I was referring to while teaching, while discussing this, I also referred to Yoga Vasishtam, Sthiti Prakaranam. That Sthiti Prakaranam, a few chapters, I think 46 to 49, something like that, they discuss in a very beautiful way. I was so impressed by those passages, Sthiti Prakaranam 46 to 49, etc. So there, how the consciousness, the real supreme reality is that consciousness. In that consciousness, there is a manifestation of what is called a will. And that will, the consolidation of will, is making this particular entity called Hiranyagarbha. Hiranyagarbha is nothing but, in that same consciousness, a consolidation of a particular will, the notion of I. The notion of I, which appears in that supreme consciousness. So that itself is that Hiranyagarbha. It is described in a very beautiful way. So there, now in this particular section, that is the third prashna, there are so many mantras. So there is a description about, say for example, Bhojana Yajnam. In, for example, mantra 5, a person who is aware of this Agnishtoma. Agnishtoma means whatever he is taken in, it is the soma. It is being offered to the pranas which are therein. So this is, compared to the Agnishtoma Yaga. So an intelligent man or a not intelligent man, it doesn't mean some crooked man, a person, a wise person, when he is having food with this awareness that he is offering some oblations to those, fires, these vital fires. So actually pranagnaya, so that is what he says, pranagnaya, these are compared to the fires. So to these fires, so when a person eats like that, he is not eating for his own self like a glutton. He is performing a sort of yajna. He is eating with a yajna bhavana. So that is what we see here. Here Anandagiri also writes, Evam Huta Pada Balat. There is a word called Hutam Annam. So for that Anandagiri is explaining, Huta Pada Balat, Annasya Havistvam. That is, Anna is becoming Havis. Then Jataragnehe Ahavaniyatvam. Jataragni is becoming the Ahavaniyagni. Ahavaniyagni is that Agni into which all oblations are put. So we came to know some certain things about what is Garhapatyagni, what is Ahavaniyagni, and what is Dakshinagni, etc., etc. We came to know. And how, the people who were the so-called Ahitagnis. Ahitagni means a person who regularly maintains those Agni is called an Ahitagni. He is not a separate fire. We should not think that Ahitagni is like another, what is this, Ahavaniyagni. Not like that. Ahitagni refers to a person. So this Ahitagni, he had to maintain 3 fires. In addition, these people, Atharva Veda people, they were supposed to maintain another fire also. We saw it in Mundakopanishad. What is that fire? Say that fire, the person who maintains those fires and also who performs the Shiro Vratam, to him only this thing has to be told. So that last mantra of Mundakopanishad told it. So these Atharvana people, they were supposed to maintain 4 fires. Normally 3 fires, that is Ahavaniyagni, Garhapatyagni and Dakshinagni. So Garhapatyagni is the main Agni from which is always maintained. From that you take some little bit and then create this Ahavaniyagni whenever there are some oblations. From that only you take out and then you put that Dakshinagni, etc. So that is a different thing. So then that is on the occasions of Darsha and Purnamasa occasions. Then we also see the question relating to Utkramana. Utkramana means Katham Utkramante. That question was also raised. How does it rise up from the body? That is, Utkramanam is what? That is the Linga Sharira. That is, Linga Sharira is the subtle body moving from one body to another body. And which is the courier which takes that thing? Linga Sharira, this is Udana. Udana is the fire, or Udana is the Prana, Pranagni, which is like a courier. Shankaracharya doesn't use the word courier, I am using the word. It is like a courier which carries. Literally it is like that. Ekaya urdhvam udana punyena punyam lokam nayati papena papam ubhabhyameva manushya lokam. It says, so punyena punyam lokam nayati. So this udana is the thing which is the vayu, or rather it is the, say, vital fire, which leads the subtle body from one body to another body. And again, depending on all the vasanas, etc. Punyena punyam lokam nayati. So then also it talks about a very interesting observation is there in 8th mantra, Adityoha vai pranaha, Bahyah pranaha, etc. etc. So there, Purushasya apanam avashtabhya antarayad akashah. So this apana is something to do with this, say, what we call gravitation, force of gravitation nowadays. For example, this Shankaracharya commentary, it says, Prithivya bhimanini ya devata prasiddha saisha purushasya apanam apana vrittim avashtabhya akrushya vashīkrutya. This is in the, I am reading the bhashyam under 8th mantra. 8th mantra, apakarshणेन अनुग्रहं कुर्वति इत्यर्थः अन्यथा हि शरीरं गुरुत्वात् पतेत् सावकाशे वा उद्गच्छेत्. If this body, if this apana doesn't function properly, the body will either fall down or it will fly off. So this apana is said to be maintaining some sort of equilibrium to see that the body is there on the, say, what is this, on the earth. It is some surprising statement. We don't know how it has to be related to gravity, etc., etc. But somebody may do some sort of further study on this. So then it talks about Udana. Yeah, Udana is the thing which enables Utkramana, I told you. Then this 9th mantra, it talks about, say, how all Indriyas, all the Indriya Shakti, that is the faculties of all the Indriyas, they get collected. They get collected in the mind at the time of Utkramanam, and along with the mind and senses, all these things, they constitute the subtle body. Along with the mind, they go, and then Punarbhavam Indriyehi Manasi Sampadhyamanaihi. Manasi Sampadhyamanaihi means they are all gathered in the mind. All these Indriyas, they gather in the mind at that time, and along with the mind, they are conducted by this DHL or courier to some other body. So then the 10th mantra talks about the idea, the thought frame at the time of death, like Antya Bhavana we see in Bhagavad Gita. So that is talked about here. Yachittena isha pranamayati pranas tejasa yuktaha saha atmana yatha sankalpitam lokam naiti. Yachittaha, whatever is that, say, whatever is that maranakale bhavana, maranakale yachitto bhavati, tena esha jivaha chittena sankalpena indriyais saha. So like that he says, whatever is that, say, bhavana, antya bhavana is there, with that bhavana, he is conducted to some other, say, body or some other loka, etc. So like what we saw in Gita also, Gruhit Tvaitani Sanyati Vayur Gandhani Vashayat. We have seen in that 15th Adhyaya. So there ends this third question. Then Evam Vidwan Pranam Veda. So here again, this is Prana Upasana is mentioned here. 11th mantra, it talks about Prana Upasana. Evam Vidwan Pranam Veda. Veda here means Upasya. Then we come to 4th mantra. So 4th mantra is about, now we have come from, graduated from Apara level to Para level. Because we are now talking about, or discussing our consciousness, different, state, the consciousness in 3 different states, Jagrata, Swapna, Sushupti. So this thing, what is called Avastha Traya Viveka, Jagrata Avastha, Sushupti Avastha, Swapna Avastha and Sushupti Avastha. This is something which is unique to our Indian thought. This Avastha Traya Viveka is something which is unique to us. Then the question is about Bhagavan etasmin purushe kani swapanti. He wants to know further, another student wants to know further, in this body, what are the things which take rest, and what are the things which never take rest, What is it that Swapna Sukham? Or who is it that enjoys that Swapna Sukham? Who sees that Swapnam? Not Swapna Sukham, Sushupti Sukham. Who is the say person who enjoys that Sushupti Sukham? So these are the questions. Some 5 questions are put here. Kasminnu sarve sampratishtita bhavanti. In what? All the senses organs and mind. What is it in which they are all sampratishtita, they get established? So that is the question. So here again they mention about there again there is a discussion about this Garhapatya, Havniya, Dakshinagni, etc. The discussion we have seen. And then in the 5th mantra it says prana is somewhat like a bodyguard. Prana is there which is like a bodyguard, but mind is a rather higher agent, because it is in the mind that the consciousness is reflected in the mind and not in the prana. So that is why it is somewhat like it is at a higher level, because it is in the mind that this say intelligence is reflected. So mere prana is okay. Prana is very, very, very important, but intelligence is not reflected, or it is, at least we are not knowing the supreme reality through prana, but we are knowing about the supreme reality through the mind. So that is what is mentioned here. And then the 6th question is also the 5th question is talking about further things like Atma is Swayam Jyoti. So we talk about the Atma is Swayam Jyoti. How do we say that Atma is Swayam Jyoti? If we want to say that Atma is Swayam Jyoti, or something is being illumined, there is something which is illumining and something which is illumined. So that is seen in the dream, because in the dream, though all the sense organs etc. are quiet, the mind is projecting its own world. So the mind is creating, mind is illumining its own world. So on this parallel, so this is Atma is Swayam Jyoti. It is mentioned, or that sort of deduction is drawn through that Swapna Drushtanta. Then in the 6th mantra, it talks about Atma is Ananda Swarupam. The 5th mantra is to say that Atma is Swayam Jyoti, and the 6th mantra is to say derive the conclusion that Atma is Ananda Swarupam. That is what is that 6th mantra? Yeah, Sayada Tejaso Abhibhuto Bhavati Atraisha Deva Swapnan Napashyati Atha Tadaitasmin Tadetasmin Sharire Etas Sukham Bhavati. So he is talking about that Sushupti Sukha. In that Sushupti, when all the things are drawn back into that Sushupti state only, even the mind, it gets resolved in that. So there, the commentators, the teachers, they also say that this is mentioned, this is to show that Jiva and Brahma, Jiva Brahmaikya Bodhanartham. So it is basically to demonstrate the non-difference between Jiva and Brahma, or to demonstrate the unity of Jiva and Brahman. So he is talking about, Yesha hi drashta, Yesha hi, the next mantra talks about Prithvi cha, Prithvi matra cha, all these things they get absorbed. This is a very long mantra. Then the 9th mantra talks about Yesha hi drashta, sprashta, shrota, ghrata, etc., etc. So here there is some subtle distinction which is made between the Jnanam and the Jnata. Jnanam is what we call Druk. This is contentless consciousness. We discussed that. Pure Druk. But when there is a Vishaya Jnanam, Vritti Jnanam, so Shuddha Jnanam is something which is different. Vritti Jnanam is something different. Vritti Jnanam is when there is a Vishaya, I see an object, there is a Vritti in my mind. So that Vritti Jnanam is what is called Vishesha Jnanam. When that Vishesha Jnanam is there, you become Drashta. Or you become Sprashta, Shrota, all these things are Jnanam only. Drashta, not necessarily seeing. Sprashta, I touch a thing. Ghrata, I smell a thing. Rasaita, I taste a thing. All these things are different types of knowledge only. So, but all these things are Vritti Jnanani only. All these Vritti Jnanani, which have to be slightly distinguished from pure Jnana. So that contentless consciousness is what is called a Druk, and then that is what is that pure Jnanam. And this Vishesha Jnanam is something called Drashta, Shrota, Manta, Vijnata, etc., etc. So that is what we see. Because Kshetrajna, which is pure Chaitanya, it is neither Drashta, neither Shrota, nor anything. it is becoming drashta, shrota, manta, etc. because of these upadhis. By virtue of these upadhis only, it is called drashta, it is called shrota, etc., etc. So this is how this mantra goes on. Then we come to the fifth mantra, fifth question. Fifth question is about Sayo havai tad bhagavan manusheshu prayanantam omkaram avidhyayita. So it says, okay, all through his life, somebody is meditating on this Omkara. So Omkara, so the Katamam Vavartena Lokam Jayati, what type of loka he gets, what is it that he is going to achieve? Then the Guru says, Etadvai Satyakama Parancha Param Brahma Yadomkaraha. So this is the Ayatanam. Omkara is the Ayatanam. Tasmad Vidwan Yetenaiva Ayatanena Ekataram Anveti. He gets either this or that, anything he wants, he gets. So, Omkara is the Ayatanam. Etena Ayatanena. Ayatanam is what? Ayatanam is basically a dwelling place, abode. It is somewhat like a receptacle for Brahma. So you use it either for apara or for para. So how? Further, of course, in the following mantras, it is being explained. Omkara, there is a subtle point which is mentioned here. In which mantra? In this Yadyeta Omkaram Avidhyayita. Yeah. In this Omkara, we have also seen Akara, Ukara, Makara. So if you dwell on that Akara alone, if you dwell on that one particular aspect alone, then you get some result. It is not as though it goes waste. So he gets Shraddhaya Sampannaha Mahimanam Anubhavati Asmin Loke Tam Rucho Manushya Lokam Upanayante. So this Akara is equated with Rigveda, Ruchaha. So it is Tapasa, Brahmacharyana, etc. Yuktaha. So that is why he is Shraddhaya Sampannaha. He becomes great. He gets all the glory in this world. Then the second matra, Dvitiya matra, that is Yajuhu. So by that, he attains the higher lokas, what is called Soma Loka, that is what is called Chandra Loka, etc., etc., heaven, etc. That's what he says. Then Trimatrena Omkarena Aksharena. So in that, with those three matras, Tejas Surya Sampannaha. Three matras, some clarification is given that it is not third matra but all the three matras. Some clarification is given. Purvavad atrapi trimatrena ityatra trutiya matra makara uchyate iti brahmam varaitum. So very deliberately he is saying that sort of brahma should not be there. It refers to all the three syllables. That is what he says. Om ityetena ivaksharena ityuktam. Om ityetena ivaksharena. With that complete that complete thing he is meditating. So there is a small point which is mentioned here. Shankaracharya says, Pratīkatvena hi alambanatvam prakrutam omkarasya, he says. Pratīkatvena alambanatvam natu vachakatvena. Of course, natu vachakatvena he doesn't say, it is there in some other notes. Pratīka and vachakam. What is the difference? We discussed it. Pratīka is just an alambanam, a support. It is symbol. There is a shastriya adhyasa there. You are visualizing something. And then with that, of course, you are you are not having that full knowledge of Omkara. You are not having that full awareness about this Avuma, etc. But you are attributing, doing some adhyasa and then meditating on that. With that, you attain this Apara Brahma. Whereas in this Vachakatvam, directly it is like Shravana, like Tattvamasi. Tattvamasi can directly give you Brahma Jnana. So similarly, Omkara, the full knowledge of Akara, Ukara, Makara, etc., this Brahma Jnana itself is attained. So that is what it says, Vachakatvena. So Omkarasya Alambanatvena is one point, Vachakatvena is another thing. So when it is Alambanam or Pratika, it leads to Apara. When it is Vachakam, that is directly conveying the meaning. Vachaka, what is Vachakam? Vachakam is directly conveying that meaning. Tattvamasi, Aham Brahmasmi, these are the sentences, isn't it? So directly when it conveys the meaning, then it is directly giving you that Brahma Jnana. So it depends on the ability of that person who is doing that meditation, or rather that contemplation. If you are doing just meditation as pratika, it is meditation. But when you come to the other level, it is contemplation on the nature of Brahman. So that becomes a higher level. So then this is what we have seen. Then the sixth mantra again further clarifies it. Tisro matraha mrutyumatyah. So that is what he says. Tisro matra mrutyumatyah prayuktaha anyonya saktaha anaviprayuktaha. That is, these are all interrelated. Anyonya saktaha, interdependent, and they cannot be broken. So if they are broken, if they are independently used, there is a lower result. So they should not be independently used. So that is what we see. And we saw that word anaviprayuktaha, how it is explained and all that. It was a tough word, which was explained in great detail by Shankaracharya. Then this is how this fifth question ends. Then we come to the sixth question. In fact, the sixth question is the main question. The sixth question is the main question about in the whole question in the whole text. That is, Athahainam Sukesha Bharadwajah Papracha. This is about the Shodashakalah Purushaha. So the student gives some background that somebody came and asked me, do you know the Shodashakala Purusha? I told him I do not know, etc. We need not bother about it. And then he says, who is this Shodashakala Purusha? And then what is this? What is this 16-limbed Purusha? So, what is this 16-limbed Purusha? We are now coming to the realm of that supreme reality called Purusha. That supreme reality or Brahman is referred to here as Purusha. And in that Purusha, the 16 limbs or kalas or facets, F-A-C-E-T, facets, you can use any word. Those 16 facets or 16 limbs or 16 components, they are attributed, Adhyaropa. Why? Because without Adhyaropa, you cannot know that reality. So there is a Shastriya Adhyaropa and then analysis and then Apavada. Apavada after analysis. So that is what we see, this Prakriya of Adhyaropa and Apavada, Prakriya, we see in this particular passage. And Shankaracharya has written a very, very elaborate commentary on 6-2, that is second mantra and then the third mantra. In the second mantra, there is a discussion about what all these Vijnanavadis and all these people they say about, say, what exactly is the connection between this, say, supreme reality and the whole universe. I'll come to that. So here, so the first point we have to see is that this number 16 need not be absolute. Though there are mentioned here 16, it need not be absolute. You can add any more things because ultimately you are going to negate them. It can be 16. Some other Upanishad there may be some other number. Taittiriya Upanishad it may say something else. Taittiriya Upanishad it talks about only the 5 elements how they have come, Annat Purusha. Then so like that it says, what is that? Vashadhibhyo Annam Annat Purusha, etc., etc. So some other Upanishad may describe in some other manner. So the 16 is not very absolute or nothing very sacrosanct about it. So then, in the earlier discussion we saw about this Sushupti and how all the sense organs they get resolved into the mind and then mind itself gets resolved and then say like that. On the same analogy, this Pralaya has been mentioned here. All these manifestations resolves back in Brahma. So all these 16 facets they resolve back in Brahma. In the case of a realized person, that we will see in that fifth mantra or sixth mantra in the same thing. Asya paridrashtuhu, paridrashta, pari samantat drashta, one who is able to see Brahman all around. For such a person, all these things they just dissolve. So that is what we are going to see. And then one more point we see here is that upadhi. All these are upadhis. And upadhis are mentioned here because without upadhis you cannot see the reality. It is, the standard example we give is like that of electricity and the bulbs, gadgets. Without the gadgets functioning, we will not know the presence of electricity. So similarly, without observing or analyzing the upadhis, we will not know the cause behind them. So, and then upadhi again has no independent existence in Advaita. For all other people, the upadhi may have independent existence. For Tarkikas, that what is that red rose and also the crystal, they have independent existence. But in Advaita, it cannot be independent. There cannot be an independent existence for upadhi. Upadhi again is a manifestation in that reality only. So, like Ghata is not different from Mrut, and like wave has no independent existence apart from ocean. This, say, Upadhi also has no independent existence. So, this Shodasha Kalah Purushaha, he is called, actually, in reality, he is called Nishkalaha. Nishkalaha means there are no kalas, there are no parts in him. But Nishkala is appearing as Sakala. Sakala. Sakala does not mean all. Sa plus Kala is, Sakala means along with Kalas, associated with Kalas. So the Nishkala Purusha, Nirguna Purusha is appearing as though he is Sakala and Saguna. So that is what we see here. And then, say, the second mantra, there is a lot of, say, discussion. We saw all that for a few days. Ihaiva antasharire somya sa purusho yasminneta shodashakalaha. So here the main question was about, say, the Vijnanavadis. So you see, avidyaya chaitanya vyatirekena hi kalaha jayamanaha tishtantyah. So the question is about whether the same Vijnana or consciousness is transforming itself into all these things. We have seen the question about Upadana Karana. So Ghatam, for the Ghatam Upadana Karanam is Mrut. Mrut is undergoing modification as Ghatam. That is a general normal example, a physical example. Does this example apply here? So that is the point. So this Vijnanavadinaha kechid bhrantaha agni sanyogad ghutamiva ghatadhyakarena chaitanyameva pratikshanam jayate nashyati iti. So that is what we saw. That is, Vijnanam itself is getting transformed into these things, matter, and every minute it is appearing and dying. Every minute it is jayate mriyate. So that is what he says. Then tannirodhe shunyamiva sarvamityapare. Another branch of Vijnana, another branch of Buddhists, they say it is Shunyavadinaha. Once even that is not there, everything is Shunyam. Then Tarkikas, what they say, Ghatadi Vishayam Chaitanyam Chetaitu Nityasya Atmanaha Anityam Jayate Vinashyati. Chetaita is that they also accept one intelligent being called Purusha. But then there is what is called Nitya intelligence and Anitya intelligence. There is Ghatadi Vishayam Anitya Chaitanyam, every minute it is born and it is disappearing. So this question of what is the relationship between that matter and consciousness. So that is the basic discussion which we see here. And then the ultimate Siddhanta was Anapaya Upajana Dharmaka Chaitanyatmaiva Namarupa Dipadi Dharmaih Pratyavabhasate. That is the Siddhanta statement. That is that Shuddha Chaitanyam which is Anapaya, that is which is devoid of death. And then there is no, when it is devoid of death, there is no birth also, obviously. Something which has no birth and no death, which is that consciousness which is always there. Namarupa, the upadhi dharmaihi. So by this name and form, which are the upadhis, through these upadhis, which are names and forms, this Chaitanyam is revealed or indicated by these upadhi. Upadhi dharmaihi pratyavabhasate. They are revealed by these upadhis. So that is what we see. And then he quotes lines like Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma to say that this Brahman is of the nature of pure consciousness, Prajnana, Ghana, etc., etc. Then Drishyam cha Rupam cha Drishyate Nasti, etc., etc. Some further discussions with these Buddhist arguments. They were all discussed in this particular, say, mantra. Then we come to the third mantra of the Prashnopanishad. This third mantra is equally important. This second mantra, the discussion is mostly with the Buddhists. Third mantra, the discussion is mostly with the Sankhyas. Because in the case of Sankhya, there is their theory of causation. Their theory of causation is that the whole universe is from what is called Pradhanam. Pradhanam, otherwise what we call Maya or Avidya, they call it Pradhanam. So that Pradhanam or Prakriti, that is the unmanifested or unmanifest state of all these effects, and from this only all the evolution takes place. And this Pradhanam is something which is an unintelligent principle. It is Jada. From this Jada, all these things, they come into existence. So that is what they say. Whereas Vedanta says that Srushti is Chetana Purvika. Srushti is not from Jada. Srushti is Chetana Purvika. Then Sankhyas, we have also seen that they are called Prakruti Parinamavadinaha. That is, Prakruti is the material cause. Prakriti or say Pradhanam is the material cause which gets transformed into these things. So Prakriti Parinamavadinaha. We are not, we say Brahma Vivarta Karanam. We say Vivarta Upadana Karanam and not Parinama Upadana Karanam. So Vivarta is what it appears. It appears like that Upadana. So that is what we say. And the Sankhya's, we have also seen this example of Pradhanam is like an Artaki, which is functioning for Purusha Bhogaya. So why do they argue all these things? They say, they argue on this particular line. Sa Ikshan Chakre, the third mantra. Where is this? Third mantra. Yeah, Sa Ikshan Chakre Kasminnavaham Utkrante Utkranto Bhavishyami. There is a statement called Sa Ikshan Chakre. He saw. The debate is on that. Who is this who saw? So when you say that he saw, and on one hand you are saying that Supreme Purusha or Brahma is something which is of the nature of absolutely pure awareness and nothing to do, no kartrutva, no bhoktrutva, and then you are saying Ikshan Chakra he saw. So obviously it doesn't refer to Brahma, it refers to Pradhanam or Prakriti. So in a rather figurative way, it is saying, it is said like Ikshan Chakre, but in reality it is referring to Pradhanam only. So that is what they say. Whereas there is a debate on that. Shankaracharya says it is not like that. He counters Sankhyas by using their own argument. The Sankhya argument is Purusha has no kartrutva but bhoktrutva. When you say that bhoktrutva is there without undergoing any modification, without undergoing any intrinsic modification, this sort of Ikshan Chakre we are accepting on the basis of on the Shruti Pramana. There is no kartrutvam here. There is no kartrutvam. It is like you say that there is no bhoktrutvam. In reality there is no bhoktrutvam. You are accepting our own contention. When you say that in reality there is no bhoktrutvam, you are accepting our own contention. So like you say you are using the word bhoktrutvam, we are using the word kartrutvam. So like that there is a long discussion on that. Then Sankhyas finally say, when everything is Brahman, where is the need for Shastra? We saw that question also. When everything is there, when everything is Brahman, where is the need for Shastra? For whose emancipation? Then the Siddhanti said, no, there are different levels of people. For a jnani, for a realized person, what you say is right. Shastra is of no purpose for him. He is at a higher level. That is, what is that? Yavan artha udapane sarvatas samplutodake tavan sarveshu vedeshu brahmanasya vijanatah. That is what Gita says. For a person who is a realized one, so all these Vedas, they become purposeless. But there are all other people who are in the level of Ajnana. So for all the people, some guidance is needed. For those people, Shastra is very much needed. So that is how this discussion on 6.3 ends. Then 6.4, now it has come to the main question of, say, what are the 16 kalas? So we have been talking about all these 16 kalas without knowing what they are. So these 16 kalas, they are described seriatim. What are starting with Hiranyagarbha, what is called prana. Hiranyagarbha, otherwise called prana. And starting from that, right down to Lokeshuja, Namacha, etc., etc. We need not repeat all that. These 16 say facets, 16 aspects, or 16 say manifestations, we can say. All those things which are described here. And so here there is not much discussion. Here the discussion is Tasya cha Ishwaram Antastham Samshayatmakam Manaha. Here there is not much discussion. Then the next mantra talks about Yatha ima nadyas yandamanaha samudrayana samudram prapya astangachanti. So this point here is, so for a realized person, all these say names and forms and all this whole creation, it gets resolved. So namarupe vihaya samudraityevam prochyate evamevasya paridrashtuhu imash shodashakalah purushayanaha purusham prapya astangachanti. So for this realized person, asya paridrashtuhu. Paridrashtuhu, Shankaracharya explains, pari samantat drashtuhu darshanasya kartuhu swarupa bhutasya. Swarupa bhutasya drashtuhu. One who is able to see his own swarupa, his real self. For such person, all these things, they just disappear. It is not as though they physically disappear, but from his point of view, they disappear. From our point of view, they may still exist, but from his point of view, all these things, they just disappear. They lose their importance, in other words. And then for him, Purushayanaha Purusham Prapya Stangachanti. Like all these rivers, they go, they end up in this ocean, they lose their names and forms. Similarly, all these Purushayanaha, all these facets, all these 16 components or manifestations, they just resolve back into the Purusha, they lose their name and form. So that is what we see in this sixth prashna, fifth mantra. Then one or two more metaphors are given, Ara, Ivarthana, Bhav, etc., etc. Then in the end, say all the students, they are very happy, they are all satisfied. Ma vo mrityu parivvetha iti, so etc., etc. So that is how this say Upanishad ends. So we have seen how this starting from Prajapati, thereafter it comes to Indriyas and Prana, then thereafter it comes to Prana, say how this fivefold division of Prana and how it gets established in the body. Then again in the fourth prashna we come to this, what is this, the Avasthatraya Viveka, Jagrat, Swapna, Sushupti, etc. In the fifth mantra we come to, fifth prashna we come to Onkara Upasana, Saguna and Nirguna, Pratika and Alambana, Pratika and Vachakam. Then again sixth prashna is the main discussion, the basic discussion with the Buddhist, various types of Buddhists on one hand, and also Tarkikas also, Buddhists and Tarkikas also. And he used a beautiful expression. Buddhists and Tarkikas, they are demolishing each other. So you leave them because both are at fault. Vivadatsveva nikshipya vivadodbhava karanam, he said. Vivadatsveva nikshipya. You just leave that vivadodbhava karanam in themselves and then you happily relax. Sukham nirvati vedavit. So some such thing he said. Tai samrakshita sadbuddhi, our sadbuddhi is well protected by them. By their specious arguments we have learnt a lesson and that we should not follow them, and then let us protect our buddhi, and then let us happily stay in this awareness of Brahman. So that is what he said. So that is how this whole Prashna Upanishad is structured. So we have now successfully concluded this Prashna Upanishad. So we will stop here. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shantihi.